Water makes absolutely no sense. A single bucket of water can cover an entire mountain. With just 2 of these buckets, you can make infinitely more. With a specific setup, you can fill a massive pool of water. You can swim up waterfalls, stop or fall damage with a single paddle. You can place a door to be able to breathe underwater. You can fish an entire school with that indoor fountain of yours. You can even get frostburn without drowning, and so much more. But you already knew that. What can we do with water when we use it with some redstone? One of the more common ways we use water with redstone is in the form of a bubble column elevator. By using redstone, we can replace the soul sand with a magma block to change the direction of the elevator. We can use water with redstone in a more decorative manner, like with this floor, where what looks to be a snake follows the Hilbert curve, a space-filling curve. Over here I have what looks to be a naturally generated waterfall. However, little did you know, I can turn it back off and on again, despite the fact there is no dispenser visible, because I use some waterlogged stairs. My friend Scribble recently used this technology in his most recent video about a 2D Rubik's Cube, and you can check that out here. Over here, you might recognize it, is a custom waterfall image display. And if you want to see a whole video on a custom waterfall typewriter, click over here. But what if we replace redstone with water entirely? Because water is completely Turing complete, here is a full 8-bit water computer designed by Minobat, which can perform functions like calculate the Fibonacci sequence and more. Now what if we get a little bit more technical? What can we do with water now? Usually when water and lava touch each other, they like to make obsidian, cobblestone, or stone depending on the interaction. However, as bubble columns and waterlogged blocks cannot be turned into stone, it can lead to some interesting interactions which should not appear to be the case. Also, as water does not like to be exploded, you can create a house out of waterlogged blocks to make it blastproof. Generally, water knows where it can and can't go. However, with certain blocks and situations, we can tell it to go somewhere where it usually couldn't. And even by waterlogging these blocks it still works. So with a specific setup, you can create some interesting interactions like with minecarts here. Also, water really likes to go downhill. However, we're smarter than this. We can trick the water into going in a straight line when it really shouldn't be able to. We can remove the rest of these blocks to make it appear even more unnatural. Turn the blocks into ice, and there you've got your item system sorted. We can take this mechanic to the extreme and place it in this spiral like so. And of course, remove the scaffolding blocks here. And now it really looks strange. Now let's really break water. Water likes to flow every 5 game ticks, so if you clock a dispenser with a bucket in it at the same rate that water flows, at first doesn't look like too much happens, but updating this block here will cascade the update such that the water will bob up and down in sync. Moving this block at the end, allowing the water to fall, will create a waterfall unlike you've ever seen before. I recommend going and watching the FX Processors video for more detail. As there can only be 65,000 liquid updates in a single tick, if I turn on this Glock synced by a daylight sensor, which has a continuously pulsing water source here, and then separately in the world, take this huge cube of water and power these pistons at the same time, pushing the soul sand up and then back down again, creating a lot of liquid ticks. After a little bit of lag, then the clocking water source will fail to update and the machine can detect that, creating wireless redstone. I'd also recommend going to check out XCOM's video about this too. My personal favourite is when a sticky piston tries to pull back a slime block which can't actually be pulled back. It fails to give off block updates. And this works with any block, including water. So if we put those type of pistons on all sides, then using a specific setup, and then removing the blocks, you can create floating water. It also means putting them in a glowstone rectangle, turning off the pistons, and removing the rest of the setup. Finally, after all these years, I can fulfill your dreams. Or not. What I can do instead is this almost invisible pressure plate, whereby using strain on top of a waterlogged slab, every time I walk into the strain, it updates the water and resets the system, triggering this pressure plate. With some redstone engineering, I can make this double door which activates as I enter it. Also works from both sides. I'd also recommend to watch Scribble's version of this door, because he has an interesting take on it as well. Here is a more complex version of the floating water setup. You first want to always do the pistons, which hatch the face of another piston and replace it with slime so that the secondary piston can also work. Once you've done that, then you can go and break the rest of the redstone blocks, and if that's all done correctly, you can get rid of all the other blocks and you'll be left with a floating circle. You can also do it with lava to be part of a fun elytra course. But for my final act, I'm going to recreate this spiral, but better. How? Well, with the help of one of my friend's magic, we made this. Of course, you're going to want to start with these two bottom pistons and these two side pistons. Then go layer by layer, top down, breaking the redstone blocks, removing this block here, and continuing. Then I can finally have the spiral I always wanted. A true demonstration of how broken Minecraft's water is.